No other breakfast in the world does what this one does. Believe it or not, it's based on a Nobel Prize-winning discovery from 1931, and it can help people lose stubborn belly fat when nothing else works. Most fat loss breakfasts are built around protein and fiber, but it's not enough to fix the actual problem keeping the fat on your body. This breakfast fixes that, and I've been using it a lot. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 2 ingredients that turn it into the most powerful fat loss breakfast on the planet, why every other fat loss breakfast you've ever tried fell flat, and how to make the breakfast at home in a matter of minutes. It's very easy to make. And at the end, I'll show you the 3 additions that I use that you can use to stack on top to multiply its fat-burning power even more. The beautiful nurse Livingood hooked us up with a nice image of what we're going over today. Now, almost everyone in the fat loss world has been chasing the wrong problem. I'm going to show you what the real problem is. That way you can see why this breakfast goes after stubborn belly fat in a way that nothing else does. It comes down to a discovery made back in 1931 when a German scientist won the Nobel Prize for figuring out how the cells in your body actually work. He proved that when a cell starts to malfunction, the breakdown begins at the wall surrounding it. This is Otto Warburg. And then years later, another German scientist figured out exactly what was causing those walls to break. It was the fat that everyone was eating. So if you've been eating industrial seed oils, fried foods, most processed meats, crackers, breads, grains, chips, boxed foods, like a lot of Americans and people around the world for the last few decades, then your body has been using all of that junk to build the wall of your cells. Every cell layer you have in your body has a fat layer around it. It is made up of what you have been eating over the last, on average, 6 years. Now, what does all this have to do with breakfast or fat loss? Your cell wall is the exact place where insulin has to land to knock to do its job. And as many of you know, insulin is the hormone that turns your body to either fat burning, where you burn the food that you eat for energy, or you end up storing more of it as fat. That's its job. It's the Amazon delivery driver knocking on the cell door that's made up of fat. So in order for insulin to deliver that message, it has to land on the wall, the door of the cell. And if that wall, if that door is broken, it can't hear the message, or in so many people, it is insulin resistance and refuses to respond to the delivery at the door. That causes your pancreas to pump out more and more insulin, more delivery drivers, trying to force the package delivery of sugar through. And more insulin in your bloodstream means one thing: more fat storage, especially around your belly. This is why so many of the things that you've tried to do to lose fat, including changing your breakfast, haven't moved the needle, especially not long term. As long as the cell walls are broken, the doors are damaged, everything else you do to lose fat will be an uphill battle. So the first thing we've got to do is unlock the rusty, sealed, unanswered doors to allow that flow to happen. And that's where this breakfast comes in. So let me show you exactly how it works. There are 3 ingredients that work together. Now we're going to talk about some bonuses you can add in, but 3 main ones. Very simple, very cheap. The first 2 rebuild your cell walls into the type that you want, that run on hinges, that are smooth, the doors that get answered, so you can dump the toxicity out of the cells and get the nourishment in. The third ingredient goes after the fat that's already stuck on your body. So let's start with one of the first 2, flax seed oil. Flax oil is one of the richest plant sources on earth of omega-3, ALA. Omega-3s are the exact kind of fat your body needs to build flexible, healthy cell walls. When omega-3s get built into your cell wall, that wall starts working the way that it was designed to. That means insulin is able to land on your cells. The signals are able to get through when those walls are working. And then your body stops defaulting to fat storage. The second ingredient is cottage cheese. And this is where it gets interesting, because if you just drink flax oil, you take it by the spoonful, most of it floats through your bloodstream, and a lot of it never gets converted to a very usable, powerful form of omega-3 that your body can use to fight and support healthy inflammatory levels in your body. And thus, it never even makes it to the cell wall. Flax oil is used in this because one of the German scientists found out that cottage cheese fixes the delivery problem that the flax pertains. How? Cottage cheese has 2 amino acids that contain sulfur, and the sulfur grabs onto the unsaturated fats that are in the flax oil and forms a tight chemical bond with them. That way your body can finally take that healthy fat and then use it to repair every cell wall in your body. That's why these 2 ingredients have to be eaten together. On their own, neither one does the job that we're talking about today of fixing the cell wall. But when you combine them together, which I'll show you a specific way to do it in a moment, you really unlock another level of superpower for these superfoods. Together, they become the raw material that your body's been waiting for. Plus, cottage cheese is an incredible source of protein. Getting it for breakfast not only helps build and restore muscle, but science shows that it helps you eat less the rest of the day. When you have a larger consumption of protein for your first meal, your next meal or two is smaller. You're more full, thus driving fewer cravings and smaller consumption, allowing you to burn more fat. Now, let's go to the third ingredient before we put this all together. The third ingredient is freshly ground flax seeds. Now, the seeds do something completely different from the oil. They contain compounds called lignans, and flax has more of them than almost any other food on the planet. Lignans help break a cycle that keeps belly fat locked in place, especially in women over 50. Now, here's how that cycle works. Your belly fat produces estrogen. Too much estrogen tells your body to hold on to more belly fat. That belly fat then produces more estrogen, and then this cycle just keeps feeding itself. And this is what gets men in trouble over 50 as well. However, lignans break that cycle by blocking the enzyme that lets fat cells produce extra estrogen in the first place. That way your body can finally start letting go of the belly fat that's been stuck there for years. So you've got the flax oil and the cottage cheese rebuilding the cell walls. And you've got the flax seeds going after the fat that's already on your body. 3 ingredients doing 2 different jobs in one bowl for breakfast that tastes very good. Now, let me walk you through how to actually make this breakfast, because there's one step in the recipe that most people get wrong, and if you skip it, the whole thing starts to fall apart. Then at the end, I'll share the add-ons that not only make it tastier, but they also significantly increase its fat-burning power. So you're gonna start with 6 tablespoons of organic cottage cheese. Organic cottage cheese, if you can, keep the pesticides and the herbicides and the toxins, keep those things out if you can. Then after that, you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of organic flax oil. It's a 2-to-1 ratio of cottage cheese to oil, which is what you want for the chemistry to work. Now here's the step almost everyone gets wrong. They take a spoon and they stir it together, but it doesn't work. It doesn't get the effectiveness. We want the 2 to bind. So stirring just with a spoon doesn't bond the oil to the cottage cheese, and you'll end up just with oil floating on top of lumpy cottage cheese. That would be gross. So to get the sulfur bonds to actually form, you have to use an immersion blender, just a little hand blender. So you just drop it into a bowl. A taller one is better so it doesn't splatter all over the place as it spins quickly. And then you just blend it for about 30 seconds and it just kind of worked our way around the bowl. And now the 2, you can't tell the separation at all between the oil and the cottage cheese. They are bound. You want the texture to look like a soft, creamy whipped cream. Once it's smooth and you can't see any oil floating on the top, that's how you know the bond is formed. If you skip the blender, you might as well pour the oil down the sink. I'm being a little dramatic, but it doesn't have the impact of driving it to the cells, fixing the cells. Now, once you got the creamy base, you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of freshly ground flaxseed. And ideally, these would be freshly ground because flax seeds have a hard outer shell. So if you eat them, most of them just pass right through your body without giving up any of the lignans that are inside because we didn't crack the shell. In fact, studies show you absorb less than 1/3 of lignans when you eat the seeds whole compared to when you grind it up. So buy whole seeds and then grind. We just use a little coffee grinder, grind them into a few tablespoons. And the fresher they are, the more potency they have. And just stir them right in to the creamy base with a spoon. They'll virtually kind of disappear. That's the base recipe. But I told you at the start of the video that I give you 3 toppings that you can stack on this breakfast to make it even more powerful for fat loss. And the first one is the easiest way to take one of my favorite fat loss, get the pounds off nutrient, psyllium husk. You can easily sprinkle 1 tablespoon of psyllium husk right on top of your breakfast. Psyllium husk is a type of fiber that turns into a thick gel the moment it hits water in your stomach. That gel then coats the inside of your stomach. So when food comes in behind it, maybe your next meal of the day, it has to slowly trickle through the gel to get in your bloodstream, which means your blood sugar doesn't spike, your insulin doesn't spike, and your body doesn't get the signal to store fat. It is one of the cheapest, simplest things you can stack on top of this breakfast. Plus, psyllium husk can't be used in very many recipes to still get the benefit because it clumps so quickly. But adding it to this, now I'm getting the benefits of psyllium husk to help keep me more full the rest of the day, consuming less, but the meal I am consuming is a cellular superfood. The second topping is a handful of fresh berries. You can see we chose some raspberries and blueberries this morning. What makes berries powerful for fat loss is the dark pigment that gives them their color. That pigment is a plant compound called anthocyanin, and it changes the way your fat cells behave. They make your white fat, the kind that piles up around your stomach, start behaving more like brown fat, and that's the kind that actually burns calories to make heat in your body. So a handful of berries is literally helping your fat burn itself off of your body. The third topping that we usually add is a tablespoon of your favorite nut butter. It could be almond or peanut butter or cashew, it's your choice, ideally organic. And this one's in here because it's a hunger killer. There was a study at Purdue that found that people who added peanut butter to their breakfast reported feeling less hungry for up to 12 hours afterwards. 12 hours. That's almost the entire day. Less cravings, less hunger. It's a craving killer and a nutrient bomb. The reason that nut butter makes such an impact is hormonal. Nut butter triggers the release of a hormone called PYY, which is your body's natural fullness signal. It also slows down your blood sugar response, not just at breakfast, but at lunch as well. So 1 spoonful in the morning is doing fat loss work all the way to dinner. Now, look what you got in this bowl. You've got the flax oil and the cottage cheese blended together, rebuilding your cells. That is an absolute key. You unlock your cells. You start getting rid of those years of rancid oils built up that have made up your cells, that are congesting your cells, that are inflaming your cells, that are destroying and shutting down your metabolism. You've got the ground flaxseed breaking the belly fat cycle. You've got psyllium husk that's going to form into a gel, keeping your blood sugar from spiking. You've got berries turning your stored fat into fat that burns itself off. You've got nut butter shutting down hunger for the rest of the day. This isn't normal breakfast at all. This is a stack. Every single nutrient has a job to do. It is loaded as a bowl. Now note that this breakfast does not keep very well. So you ideally don't make it the night before. Fresh is the best. It takes 5 minutes to make. Like I said, use the organic cottage cheese, cut out the toxins, keep the benefits. Also, buy your flax oil in a dark glass or plastic bottle, but make sure it's cold when you buy it. You buy it from the cooler section. Keep it in the fridge after you get it. It's very delicate. It goes rancid fast when it's exposed to light and especially heat. Don't heat it. Now, if you are taking a blood thinner or contradictory medication, talk to your doctor before adding in flax to your routine because it can have some effects on those, right? But that's cellular breakfast. It does what no other breakfast in the world can do. Once you start eating it, your body finally has what it needs to let go of the fat and the buildup that's been stuck and congested for years. Now, I will place the recipe for this below so you can look through the steps right in the description so you can easily see what we put in it. And if you want more options for fat loss foods to eat for breakfast, then watch my other video, which has already been seen by over 1 million people. And in it, I walk you through the 10 best breakfast foods that actively train your body to burn belly fat. I think if we can get breakfast right, we can really set up the tone for the rest of the day. It explains what each food does inside your body. It shows you how to use them correctly so you don't accidentally cancel out the fat loss benefits. So click to watch it next, and I'll see you there.